I am not really sure how to do this one, but Kyle Dubas. Oh my god, Steve, you're gonna go on about this again. No. Look, there was a story that the Colorado Avalanche wanted to talk to Kyle Dubas. They wanted to maybe take the assistant GM of the Leafs and then make him their GM. And I wrote about it and I waxed poetically about Kyle Dubas, and you can read that in the link down below. A few days later, a couple stories come out. Elliot Friedman's first 2 thoughts and 30 thoughts are about Kyle Dubas. Myrtle wrote an article on The Athletic too. And the thing that concerned me so much after reading this, because I had all these questions, I'm like, what is actually going on with Kyle Dubas? And I think a lot of you did too. And I read this and I'm like, whoa, no one knows. There were a few nice little pieces of information in there. One is that basically either the Avalanche are lying about interviewing Kyle Dubas, or some of the people in the organization didn't even know that was the case. And this one drove me nuts. It has been hard to pinpoint Dubas' future in Toronto. There have been rumors he would not be back next season as his contract is up. I guess we'll know on June 30th, but one source suggested he has quietly signed an extension. Look, I greatly prefer this administration to the last. I mean, we knew every thought in Dave Nonis's head pretty much. It somehow got out into the media. Somehow. More leaks than a boat made of construction paper. Now, this current installment of the Leafs, the Dubas, the Mark Hunter, the Lou Lamoriello, the Shanahan Leafs, they don't say anything. Which I kind of like. I'm like, good. Secrecy is good. And to me, they've earned the benefit of the doubt to have that secrecy. Like, okay, I don't know that much of what's going on, but you look smart enough. I like the team that I see on the ice. You seem smart enough that it's okay. I don't need to know anything. No one needs to know anything. But then I see stuff like this. Like, why are you keeping that a secret? If that is the case, if it is actually the case that Kyle Dubas has signed an extension with the team, people are going to ask fewer questions if you just tell them that. They drive me nuts. Anyway, here was the most important little tidbit, because a lot of fans seem to be concerned that the Leafs were going to lose Dubas. This one sentence let me know that that's not going to happen. Not yet anyway, not for a while. That's a bit of a surprise, since conventional wisdom is Mark Hunter surpassed him, meaning Dubas, on the Lou Lamoriello succession list, whenever that will be. The answers rest with Brendan Shanahan, who hired Dubas and remains a big fan. There's a couple things there. One is I was kind of surprised to hear Elliot refer to Mark Hunter as kind of passing Kyle Dubas on the organizational depth chart, if you will. I've heard this suggested, I've heard this theorized, but this seems sort of like the truth. But a lot of people are looking at that as a foregone conclusion, like Mark Hunter's ahead of him and he's always going to be ahead of him. And another thing I've read a couple times is, oh, well, it's the old boys club and Lou Lamoriello and Mike Babcock get along way better with Mark Hunter. Okay, I don't have any sources, but I hear a lot of stuff. There are screaming matches I've heard of, let's put it that way. And I can't confirm them, so I don't want to put a malicious rumor out there, but screaming matches. Now you're going to have those. I think a healthy team is going to have those. Phil Kessel, and I'm forgetting Malkin, had one of those before. One period later, Malkin sets up Kessel for the game-winning goal. Sometimes teammates, or in this case management mates, let's call them teammates, have screaming matches. But the idea that the guys in Leafs management who are older than Dubas are just buddy-buddy, I don't buy that for a second. But that is not as important as Friedman mentioning that Shanahan remains a huge fan of Dubas. Because Lou is the GM. Lou. This shroud of secrecy, this guy in charge, this authoritarian, is actually not the most powerful person on the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's called the Shana Plan for a reason. Brendan Shanahan is Lou Lamoriello's boss. Don't forget that. Even if Lou doesn't like Dubas, which I suspect is not the truth, but let's say he doesn't matter. Shanahan likes him. It's like if you're playing president. Right now, Dubas at highest is an ace. Lou Lamoriello is a 2. But that doesn't matter as long as Brendan Shanahan is the Joker. Now, so those are some facts, little tidbits basically put out there. And the reason I'm making this video is I was having a conversation with someone and they're like, well, so what? So what if all this is going on? I don't think it matters. And I go, yeah, but like, I don't know. Even if he's staying with the Leafs, I wouldn't want Kyle Dubas to feel like marginalized or whatever. And my friend just kind of laughs and pauses and goes, did you hear what you just said? Oh, I just hope he's so comfortable, and oh my Kyle. At the end of the day, Kyle Dubas is the 30-year-old assistant general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's got a wicked job for one of the most exciting up-and-coming teams in the entire National Hockey League, which is the best hockey league in the world. He doesn't even turn 31 until the end of this upcoming November. And not to mention, the assistant GM of the Leafs is probably caked Basically, I'm worried about my little buddy here, and my friend's like, I think he's okay. But if you feel the same way that I did having that conversation with my friend, if you're the one who's like, well, no, I don't want him pissed off either, I don't think you should feel silly. I don't think you should feel silly at all. You're a fan. Fans are supposed to be passionate. I'm a fan. I'm a little bit passionate. But look, when Dubas was brought in the summer of 2014, you could argue that that is when things started to turn around. We often focus on rebuilds starting from the low point. That's not how a rebuild works. When the Leafs finished last place, the rebuild had already begun. You ever see when they put a brand new building in place of a building that used to be there? What happens first? They demolish the old building! As the assistant general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, as the general manager of the Toronto Marlies, as the guy who heads up the Leafs analytics department, Dubas was a big part of the deconstruction of the old team and the building of the new one. I think us as Leafs fans, we see something like this and we go, because things have been going so well for such a little amount of time. But as far as it goes for Leafs fans, so long! A few months is a long time for things to be going well in Leafland. We got this young and exciting team. They made the playoffs. They did better than expected in the season and in the playoffs. We see Jeremy Bracco in the Memorial Cup. It's the little things when we get excited. And any sign that might indicate things could go the other way, which I think getting rid of Dubas would be a step in the wrong direction, any sign of that, I think we get a little jumpy. And I don't think you can blame us. Now, that being said, drafting William Nylander in the top 10, drafting Mitch Marner 4th overall, drafting Austin Matthews 1st overall, winning the draft lottery. Was that all Kyle Dubas? Bringing in Mike Babcock, did he do that? Lou Lamoriello, did he do that? How much of the Freddie Anderson trade was he involved in? How much of bringing in Nikita Zaitsev was he involved in? How much of? We can't look at every positive thing that's happened to the Leafs and just go, it's Dubas, it's him. I like to believe he was part of it all, and he probably was, but the fact is, there's a few cooks in this kitchen, and there are varying opinions. I very much doubt that it is often unanimous. You pick 1st overall. I'm willing to bet everyone in the room had Matthews going 1st. I might be wrong, but that's the easiest decision you're gonna have to make. How's it gonna go this year when they gotta pick 17th? I think another thing is we see the 2015 draft, and the Leafs draft all these small but high-scoring, highly skilled players, and we go, oh, this is it. This is the new team. This is their identity. This is the direction. And it kind of aligns with everything we've been told about Kyle Dubas and analytics, rightly or wrongly. And then we see the 2016 draft, and outside of Austin Matthews, it was a whole what? That guy, okay, he might work. Like Carl Grundstrom looks like a pretty good pick so far, but all the others, like there were some confusing ones in there. So I think that's why Leaf fans get worried when they hear rumors regarding Kyle Dubas, when they have to try to picture a Leafs team without him. I think the moral of the story in all of this is chill. If he leaves, he's not the head honcho right now. He never has been in Leafland. He might be one day, but he's not currently. He's just been a part of it all, a useful part of it all, an important part of it all, but just a part. And as far as losing him goes, you don't necessarily have to worry about that because it sounds like they're not losing him. He's sticking around. Brendan Shanahan, the guy in charge, the actual head honcho, above the general manager, no matter who that general manager is a big fan of Dubas. That, to me, is the most important thing. Dubas is going to stick around for a summer that is going to come after an expansion draft. Like, that's huge. You don't want to lose anybody in your organization right before an expansion draft, let alone him. But again, you don't have to worry about that because apparently he's staying. So everybody, Leafs Nation, until something actually happens, until there is Leafs news that features news within it, I think let's just let the Stanley Cup Final have the floor. 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. Can we do that? Can we allow them that? Look, you're going to want to save your energy. There's going to be a lot of opportunity to freak out this June. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends, and don't go Doobie.